right, that's Billy. That's Clay and John from Abnormal Growth. So I'm here at the 40th anniversary of Lance and 40th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did I say the 40th?
I thought you said 30th.
Oh, no, well, you were at the 30th, weren't you?
Yeah, it's been 30 years since we've played. Okay,
right,
sorry.
Billy, thank you very much.
30 years. Oh my God.
Okay, guys. So Abnormal Growth. How long have you been playing together?
We started playing in September 12th of 1986, and our last show was here at the Phoenix on September 13th of 1991.
And you've been here the whole time. All three of you.
Yeah, we're like the original members.
Yes.
And you're still the three of you.
Well, yeah.
So I hear you guys were out in the parking lot practicing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we haven't played together in 30 years.
And your improv out there, singing about Healdsburg, that cracked me up. You guys are doing.
Well.
So tell us about singing. What inspired you? How'd you get started with singing?
Here's the funny thing. So my brother Kevin introduced me to John. John was still in high school. I was just out of high school. My brother was in high school. My brother thought John and I would get along. So I went over to his house, and it's kind of a blur, but before we knew it, we wrote like 3 songs with John played guitar, I played a TV tray, some pots and pans. I'd never played drums in my life.
I was reading about you, yeah. And you had like a keg and...
Yeah, keg.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we did is we did the bass track, right? We just played through. And then we put that cassette through an amp with some reverb, put another cassette player, and then played the first one, which would be basically the music tracks, and then I just screamed at the other boombox while it recorded those 2 things. And you know, it was very nursery rhyme type songs, because you know, it's just how you write your first stuff. It's very raw. And we said, this is awesome. So John says we should rent a Tascam 4-track. We rented it for the weekend, and we did, I don't know, what did we write, 10 songs or something like that?
10 songs in one weekend, you wrote.
Yeah, something like that. It was crazy. And then so we're like, oh, John's like, we got to buy our own 4-track. And then we
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks. And then we just we did put out our first album, cassette only. It's like 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Even though we only could afford to put out cassettes, we just consider them albums, not demos, because it was like they're complete. As far as we did, complete albums with the concept. Then we did our second one. And then we did a best of in the studio, because now we had 2 60-minute cassettes. Then we went into a real studio to do Healdsburg, which we released, and then we went in the studio one more time to do our last album, Brutal, which we never got around to release, but it's pretty awesome.
Well, there's still time.
There's still time.
There's still time.
I have the masters still. I just got to get them. Well, they're 30 years old, and hopefully they'll
And
still
they were
work.
on 8-track. Got to be updated a little.
16 track.
16 track. Was the last one the 24 track? I think the last one was 24 track.
No, 16.
Both of them?
Both of them.
Okay.
So tell us about you. What got you into playing heavy metal music?
Well, it just kind of resonated with me. I mean, I remember seeing the album cover for the Iron Maiden Killers, and I was like 11 years old, and I'm like, that's got to be cool. It looks cool. And then I got it, and then it was like, it just resonated with me. And then I started learning guitar shortly after that, and was doing everything, you know, this is back in '82, so I was like learning everything from like Led Zeppelin, Cream, Jimi Hendrix, the classical stuff they were teaching us in school, and then it was like, and then trying to figure out the Iron Maiden stuff, and then Ozzy, and then, you know, as the years went by, then we started writing our own stuff, and then what, in '86 is when we got together, and then Billy came along, what, in '87, around around March, April, because then we re-recorded a few of the songs with Billy, and re-released the first album with him on it, and then he's been in the band ever since.
So you had a 30-year hiatus.
Yeah.
And they're back like nothing ever's changed. Okay. Oh, we're getting the balloons out. Oh.
You're back and you looked at me, just like you said.
I told you. We're getting ready to do the balloon bash. All right, so any inspiring words for your audience about how you keep going and living your passion?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Clay.
You're good with words.
That's a tough one because I just have always lived this way. I didn't know. I'd never written a song in my life. I couldn't play drums. I couldn't play guitar. I couldn't do anything. But it looked like fun. And I'd be like, I'll just figure it out as I go along. Now, fortunately, John was far more skilled and musical and really understood composition far more than he gave himself credit for. So I had John, who just had this wealth of knowledge, and you know, people would hear our first recordings and they would say, "Wow, John sounds really like, what do they say, like professional or whatever." They were just he didn't sound like most guitarists his age. So John elevated the whole thing.
So
and
you got the art.
Yeah, I'm more like a vocalist, meaning I'm good at vocalizing. I have a lot of character in my voice, but I'm not really like capable of singing in the traditional sense. I have a very limited range. I have enough sense to know when, and John will remind me too. Like sometimes John would sing a song because I'd write it, and John was like, "Okay, it's in this key." My voice can't do it, so he would sing those. So he would sing the parts that I couldn't. Okay. And we would just trade off, and that's how it is. But I've always done that. Like when I decided to become a cartoonist, I was staff cartoonist at 3 newspapers, and I self-syndicated my own strip. And when I wanted to be a photographer, I was a concert photographer for a couple newspapers. And when I wanted to buy a mobile home park, that I should be president of the Homeowners Association so we could buy our mobile home park. And that's just my whole life is like fun. All I need is to just have a basic idea, and then I just go for it and figure it out as I go along.
And how do you play into that?
Well, my whole thing is that it's never too late. I mean, I tell this to my, I'll run into coworkers who are like, I always wish I played guitar, or I always wish I learned piano, or anything. And it's just like, what's stopping you? The only thing stopping you is you. And it's just like, I'm constant, and that's what really keeps me going, is it's just like, oh shit, I might not be the best of anything, and that's perfectly fine. I'm good at me, and I know I can figure it out, I know I can learn it, and also I have a bar set so high I can never reach, but that keeps me going. And I don't care if there's a gazillion guitar players out there that can play circles around me, and then there's, all these other, anything, it doesn't matter. I can, I know that I'll never be the best of any of these things, but I don't care. I enjoy the path, I enjoy the travel of doing it, and I try to get that across to people, whether it's a student or to just anybody out there. Just do it. Have fun with it. Find the zen in it. It's like, do you just want to play, a handful of chords along to the record and stare at a wall and quiet so no one can see you? Just do it. Or if you want to be in front of a bunch of people and act like an idiot and jump around, do it. So, it's just like that's kind of what keeps me going, and I really enjoy it. I think that, it's like, if I ever come on to, like, if I lose the ability to use my hands, well, screw it, I'll sing. And if I lose my voice, I'll just write the crap out and let someone else do it. And, if I end up to where I can't do anything, then I'll just get a stick in my mouth and start pointing the damn things and write the little black dots and squiggly lines and type the words out. And, as long as I can get the stuff out, that's all. Just do it. And I'm sure that Nike will sue me for this. So you need to hand up to Billy.
I don't know. I probably can't really add much because they were like the, you know, the core, the creative.
Oh bullshit! You've been here the long. You've got. We really respect what you have to say and do.
Yeah, well, I know. I'm just yeah.
Oh my God, Billy's bass lines were always awesome, but I could only hear him when we went in the studio because the drums were so loud. I'd only, like when we go in the studio, every time I would go like, oh my God, it's so awesome what you're playing. Because in practice I couldn't hear it because the kick drum and the snare fucking overwhelmed everything.
Well, thanks. I guess, you know, the one thing I contributed was White Bread. I guess that was the one song.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one credit I got to my name.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was one of my favorite songs anyway, and I was like, it was a fun one because I was sort of channeling, you know, Mike Watt from the Minutemen when I came up with that riff that everybody seemed to like, and Clay just had the perfect lyrics that went right along to it, and so it was kind of like, boom, we had another new great song one afternoon. And unfortunately, this was like 2 years before Victim's Family released an album called White Bread Blues, and I actually got an ex-girlfriend of mine heard this song that I helped write, and she's like, "Oh, it's just a Victim's Family ripoff." I'm like, "Fuck you."
I got a wireless system, dude. I'm jumping.
Oh my God, you guys are fabulous.
Oh yeah, and Billy
Ripped them off 2 years before they wrote that album. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for Billy, we would probably have almost never played because he booked almost all of our shows.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is true.
I had the connections back then.
Yeah, he was totally dialed in and
Technology, the art, and
Just
the mechanics.
yeah. Okay.
sure.
Sure.
It works. Larry, Mo, and Curly too. Hey, you guys, can I publish this and share this?
Of course.
Okay.
And if any of you out there are interested in hearing any of the music, our whole catalog is available for download at abnormalgrowth.org or abnormalgrowth.net for free.
For free. Get that abnormal.
Abnormal Growth.
Abnormal growth.
That's our name. Abnormalgrowth.org or .net.
All right, and it's Johnny what?
John Crowhurst.
One more time.
John Crowhurst.
Crowhurst.
Clay Butler.
She's got my name already. Okay, Billy Hawes.
All right, I'm going to share this with the world. Thanks, you guys. You're awesome. Cheers.